Hey everyone, happy college football. Welcome to Porcelain Picks. I'm your host, Andrew Fabian. We're entering week 6 of college football season. It's a Friday, beautiful football weather here in New Jersey, down in the Philly area. We got Phillies baseball on the way, facing the Mets for those of you who care. But more importantly, we have a big college football slate between tonight's games, tomorrow's games. We have another 23 picks coming to you because we at Porcelain Picks are focused on bringing you the locks you need as you scroll atop the porcelain throne. Last week and this season thus far, we haven't done that for you. We were 9-14 last week in 23 picks, bringing our total to 38-53 so far in this early season. A lot of season left, a lot of improvements to be made. We went through the audit on Monday. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, follow our picks, give us some comments. Where do you agree? Where do you disagree? And then the audit coming out on Mondays or Tuesdays every single week. That is where we hold ourselves accountable to you. All right, big slate, 23 games. We got Joey Mack coming in with 3 picks. We've also got a return of the Locksmiths, who went 1-1 a couple weeks ago. We have one Locksmith pick, and then the Locksmiths agreement with one of my picks. All right, so bringing those guys back, another switch up. Looking for a big W in 23 picks this week. All right, we're going to start with the Friday night games and another mix-up. We're starting with a Joey Mack MACtion lock of the week. Taking the outside of the Mac for this one, Jvill St at Kenn St. Joey Mack loves the over in this game. It's set at 49.5 at the time of this recording. Jvill St, they're fast. Off to fast starts. They got Rich Rodriguez as their coach. We know he's historically had a fly and high power offense. Poor defense on their side, though. 1-3 so far this season. Kenn St has been struggling in their first year in FBS. So we see this being a high-scoring matchup. Jvill St putting up 40 points in this game. Kenn St maybe getting 14 on the board. This game is going over 49.5 to get us started. All right. The other Friday night game, we got Syracuse plus 6.5 at the time of this recording at UNLV. You may see 5.5 lines out there as well. We've got Syracuse plus 6.5. Kyle McCord, will he bounce back and have a big game at UNLV? UNLV, the Running Rebels, they're flying high. They're ranked this week, Cloud 9. They'll be in front of a great crowd here on Friday night. Can they pull it off? Can they continue to be the group of 5 lead as we approach the college football playoff? No, they can't. Kyle McCord's going to have a bounce-back game. I'll keep it short and simple. Cuse is going to win this game outright tonight, but I'm going to play it safe. We got a couple money line picks coming up later. Take Cuse plus 6.5. Lock it, flush it. There's your 2 victories Friday night. All right, let's go into the Saturday slate. We got a big noon slate for you. Pittsburgh at UNC. It's an ACC matchup. We know Pitt scored a lot of points. This matchup is historically high scoring. Pittsburgh's the dog on the road, minus 2.5. They're undefeated on the season, coming on against a UNC squad who has 2 straight losses. We all know that 70-50 loss to JMU at home a couple weeks back stings. Over-under set at 63.5 in this game. All right, I like 2 picks. I think Pittsburgh has a solid team this year. They've played a higher quality opponent and beaten higher quality opponents in Cincinnati and West Virginia. They put up 72 points last week, albeit against Youngstown State. I think Pitt comes in. I think they win the game. They cover the spread. Pitt minus 2.5. Lock it, flush it. Take the over. This is going to be a game where Pitt gets into the 40s. UNC's in the 30s. Over 63.5 will not even be a debate. Lock it, flush it. All right, let's move on. UCLA, rather. I'm getting a week ahead of myself at Penn State. Hopefully Penn State's not looking ahead like I just was there. Penn State's minus 27.5 at the time of this recording. All right. UCLA has had an awful season so far in their first year entering Big Ten play. Their out-of-conference has not been strong. Ethan Garbers comes in. He's their starting quarterback who was highly praised. He's injured, so he's not playing in this game. This has all the makings of a look-ahead game for Penn State, but I think last week's defensive output against Illinois shows that this defense is really for real, holding Illinois to 7 points. They had a pick 6 that was called back. I see UCLA really struggling to put points on the board against Penn State. Take PSU minus 27.5. I think this is an ugly one. Long travel day for UCLA getting out to Penn State. They're going to pour it on, not looking ahead to USC. Take the Nittany Lions, lock it, flush it. All right. Now is our first Locksmith lock of the day. So PTC coming to you with a bet in the Army game. We got Army minus 11.5 at Tulsa. PTC says smash Army in this game. minus 11.5. Lock it, flush it. They've covered in every game they've been in so far. Tulsa's defense has struggled so far this season. They're going to get worn down by the triple option that Army brings to the table consistently. This game's not going to be that close. It's going to be a 20-plus point victory for Army. My pick in this game is based off of the fact that Army has had a touchdown on their first possession of each of their first games so far this season, their first 4 games this season. So take Army minus 2.5 in the first quarter. Lock it, flush it. Those are your 2 picks. You got Locksmiths on the board, and you got my pick for that game. All right. Next up, a Joey MACtion lock of the week. We are going to UMass at Northern Illinois. Raise your hand if you're going to watch this game. We get about 50 to 60 viewers every week. I'm betting 0 of you raise your hands on that. All right, let's go. UMass, team total under 10.5. UMass is terrible. Northern Illinois has a slow-moving, methodical offense. They held NC State to almost kept them single digits last week. UMass isn't going to put up double digits against this offense or this defense of Northern Illinois. So take UMass under 10.5. Lock it, flush it. None of us will be watching, but we'll be checking the scores. All right, SMU at Louisville, an ACC matchup, if you can believe that. Louisville minus 6.5, coming off the defeat at the hands of Notre Dame. Is this team for real? SMU, we know, blew out Florida State. Florida State's been reeling this year, so what does that win actually mean? SMU hasn't really faced a prolific offense to the style of Louisville so far this year. We really like Louisville in this matchup. On the defensive side of the ball as well, you saw what Louisville did to a struggling Notre Dame team. Preston Stone for SMU hasn't really gotten things going. He's underperformed, as I've been picking SMU since early on in this season. So take Louisville to bounce back, minus 6.5 at home. Lock it, flush it. All right, we're going Missouri at Texas A&M. Mizzou, not very tested so far in this young season. Texas A&M, we know they have the loss to Notre Dame. They're minus 2.5 in this game, so 2.5 point favorite at the time of this recording. Over-under in this game is set at 48.5. I really like A&M in this spot. I think a lot of the public money's coming in on A&M and thinking Missouri's overrated as they haven't played anyone. Brady Cook hasn't really gotten things going so far this season for Missouri. I'm with the public money coming in, it gave me a little bit of trepidation here, but I think for once the public's right, A&M minus 2.5, lock it, flush it. This game's going to be in Kyle Field. A&M's strong suit is their defensive side of the football. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game as well. So let's go under 48.5. Lock it, flush it. All right, 3:30 slate. We got Iowa at Ohio State. Ohio State hasn't faced a lot of competition so far this year, especially on the defensive side that Iowa brings to the table. Iowa has a great running attack this year. That's their strong suit. Cade McNamara, their quarterback's been struggling. They can't throw the ball, even on the poor competition they've faced. Ohio State, on their end, they've got the two-headed monster of Quinshawn Judkins and Tavion Henderson. The two of those guys are going to have a big game if the Buckeyes are going to cover this 17.5 point spread. Over under, I should mention, 45.5. I see this game playing out as a 31-9 type game. I just don't see where the points are going to come from Iowa. I think Ohio State gets out. It's a little ugly early. It's going to be one of those Iowa-style games. Iowa might even have a 6-3 lead at some point in the second quarter. But look for Ohio State to continue to run the football. Will Howard's going to have to keep the ball in his hands and not turn the ball over to this Iowa defense. They're going to try to play an ugly-style game. Again, I think it's going to be a 31-9 type Ohio State win. So take Ohio State minus 17.5. Lock it, flush it. Take the under 45.5. Lock it, flush it. Let's continue with the 3:30 slate. We got another Jersey Joey MACtion lock of the week. Miami, his alma mater, he usually stays away from them, at Toledo. Toledo minus 6.5 is the pick. Joey Mack fading his alma mater. If anyone knows Miami, it's Joe. All right, they're struggling with the run so far this season. Brett Gabbert's coming in hurt. He's not 100%. They've got no skill position weapons on the outside, and that spells trouble for the Red Hawks. Toledo, they're coming off a bye. They're going to be the healthier team. Tough to see Miami scoring points in this game. Take Toledo minus 6.5. That's the Joey Mack lock of the week. Lock it, flush it. I'm going to take a pick in this game as well. As you heard, Joey Mack said it's going to be tough for Miami to score. I'm going to take the under in this game, 44.5. That's your two picks for the Red Hawks game. Lock it, flush it. Moving on, Auburn at Georgia. We got Georgia, 22.5-point favorite, coming off that oh-so-close defeat at the hands of Alabama, where Georgia storms back in the second half. Carson Beck, tough first half, great second half. Georgia could have won that game, gave up that incredible touchdown that we all saw late in that one. Ryan Williams, the freshman phenom, running that one in from 75 yards out. I think Georgia comes into this game angry. Auburn is in disarray. They're minus 11 in turnovers so far this season. Hugh Freeze is throwing players under the bus left and right. I think Auburn's going to come out and have 3 or 4 turnovers again in this game. This is not the get-right spot for Auburn. Georgia's coming in angry. They're going to do some damage and win this by 30+. Take Georgia minus 22.5, lock it, flush it. Ole Miss at South Carolina staying in the SEC. South Carolina, 9.5-point favorites, or dogs rather, at home. I'm gonna lay out the transitive property here for all you math whizzes, all right? Ole Miss just lost to Kentucky. South Carolina earlier in the year destroyed Kentucky. Kentucky won at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is traveling to South Carolina. That equals South Carolina to win this game, right? I don't think so. I think Ole Miss is going to be playing with their backs against the wall after that Kentucky loss. They can't afford another loss to an unranked team if they're going to stay in the playoff picture. I think they win this game, but I think South Carolina is the type of team who's going to make them earn it. So take South Carolina plus 9.5, lock it, flush it. All right, we're going to the 4 p.m. game. We got Rutgers at Nebraska. Rutgers coming off that big night victory, hosting Washington on Friday night with the blackout. They're traveling to Nebraska. Nebraska coming off a nice win where I said Dylan Raiola had to put a little hair on his chest to eke that one out. Nebraska's home. They're favored by 6.5. I think this should be a wider margin. I think Rutgers is they're good story this year. They're undefeated. This is going to be a big game for them. They're going to be amped up. I just think the style of athlete on Nebraska is going to outclass Rutgers in this game. I think Dylan Raiola is going to have a big week. They're going to have this is going to be a propelling game for them up in the rankings. They need every victory they can get to stay relevant. Take Nebraska minus 6.5. Lock it, flush it. Greg Schiano, great story so far this season with Rutgers. I think they're going to keep having some success in the Big Ten, but they'll start to fade off a little bit as we progress. All right, let's go to the 7 p.m. game. So we got Clemson at Florida State. This is the game where I said the Locksmiths and I align. Clemson, 13.5-point favorite at Florida State. Florida State is without DJU in this game. It's going to be Brock Glenn. He's a running quarterback. It's going to be a little bit of a switch up. Is Clemson prepared to face a different style quarterback? Earlier in the year, before the season started, you would have circled this game as a huge game, the biggest one of the weekend. It's no longer that. Florida State's horrible. They just get blown out by SMU. Is this going to be the game, though, under the lights in Tallahassee where Florida State puts on their best performance and plays up to their potential? I don't think so. I think Clemson has turned it on after that embarrassing defeat against Georgia in week 1. Cade Klubnik has been really impressive. This offense is impressive. We know the defense is the strong suit typically for Dabo's teams. I see Clemson coming in and winning by 20+. I think Florida State keeps it close and it keeps it commendable, respectable, I should say, in the first half. But Clemson pulls away with their superior style athlete and just a superior headspace they're in. Clemson, minus 13.5. Florida State keeps funneling down that toilet. Lock it, flush it. Michigan at Washington, a repeat, on paper at least, of last year's national championship game. A lot of new bodies, not a lot of the same players. Washington's a completely different team after having 3 of their wide receivers go to the NFL. And their quarterback, of course, Michael Penix, is an NFL player. Michigan as well loses that amazing team that stuck together for quite some time. J.J. McCarthy's no longer there. Blake Corum's no longer there. You got a few of their weapons in Roman Wilson. He's gone. Their defense was picked up in the draft. Michigan had a lot of players go in the NFL draft last year. So not really a rematch of the national championship, although Michigan's a top 10 team. They did play and beat USC, who I think is a strong team. They're really proving themselves this year. Alex Orji is the quarterback. This guy threw for 89 yards last week. You know that Michigan's running the ball with this guy at the helm at quarterback. The good news for Michigan is they have 2 absolute weapons at the running back position in Khalil Mullings and Donovan Edwards, 2-headed monster. Mullings really emerging this year as the number 1 back. Washington on their side, they outperformed Rutgers last week in every statistical category, but they still found a way to lose that game. Washington has 2 losses on the year. They're coming into this game as a 1.5-point favorite. I like Michigan in this. I think Will Rogers, Washington's quarterback, has had a great year so far, 0 interceptions. That's been a problem of his over his career. I think he throws his first 2 interceptions of the year in this game against the Wolverines. I think Michigan comes in and wins this game by a touchdown or more. It's going to be low scoring, though. So I like Michigan money line as a 1.5-point dog. Lock it, flush it. We'll give ourselves a full unit when we win this game. And then take the under, 41.5. Lock it, flush it. This is going to be something like 17-10, maybe 21-14 type Michigan win. It's going to be an ugly one on the ground. All right, we've got UCF at Florida. Had to double check a note there. The Battle of Florida. Okay, 2 teams that have had up and down seasons so far. Florida obviously struggling. We know that. Billy Napier's head is on the line here with his job there. UCF had a great start to the season. I picked them in every way, shape, and form last week, and they embarrassed themselves, turned me into the stinker of the week when UCF just got decimated by Coach Prime. So what UCF team is going to show up? Florida is a 1.5-point dog at home. I think these guys show up in this game. I think it's going to be a night game. It's going to be a night game in Gainesville. I think the fans are going to show up. The pressure's off of Florida. We know Billy Napier's probably not going to last beyond this year. Florida's going to come out and win this game with no pressure on them. UCF is reeling after that defeat at the hands of Coach Prime. All right, so take Florida money line. Again, a full point for ourselves. If we a full unit for ourselves, if we get the victory in this game, we think we will. Lock it, flush it. Let's go Gators. All right, last game. We got a late game. Miami at Cal. All right, Miami had to travel about 3,000 miles from down in Florida out to Cal Berkeley. This is an ACC matchup. Again, believe it or not, with these changes, Cal is hosting their first ever college game day. So they're going to be up for this game, right? The students are going to get into this. It's going to be a crazy atmosphere. Well, keep in mind, it's on the West Coast, right? College game day starts at 8 o'clock in the morning East Coast or 9 o'clock in the morning East Coast. People are going to start getting out there at 3:30 in the morning local time in Cal to go line up and get ready for college game day. Then it's a night game. It's going to be an 8 p.m. or 7:30 p.m. game on the West Coast. Good luck lasting that long. We'll see what crowd shows up there. But anyway, Miami is just the better football team. They're 10.5-point favorites. Cal's got a good defense, but I don't see them playing the caliber opponent that Miami will bring to the table. Cam Ward is going to come out and have a great game against Cal on the national stage. This is the standard Pac-12 after dark, so people in California will be watching. I'll wake up and see an easy 3-touchdown win for Miami the next morning. So I'll be sleeping easy with this pick. Miami minus 10.5. Lock it, flush it. Those are your 23 picks at Porcelain Picks. For Joey Mack, for the Locksmiths, I'm Andrew Fabian. We at Porcelain Picks are here to deliver the locks you need as you scroll atop the porcelain throne. We're going to do that for you this week. Got a big week ahead. Lock it, flush it. Happy college football.